Travelers headed to the U.S. from China will soon be facing new COVID restrictions starting January 5th. Travelers from China will have to present a negative COVID-19 test before entering this country. The move comes as China battles a large wave of COVID infections. A number of countries are now also implementing similar travel requirements. So what does that mean for us here in the United States as infections spread overseas? To talk about this, physician at Stanford Children's Health and ABC News medical contributor, Dr. Alok Patel is here. Dr. Patel, good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Terry.
So we're nearly 3 years into this pandemic. I look over at China, and it does seem like this is a country that tried to keep the lid on it and just took the lid off. So how concerned are you about that?
You know, as a physician and someone who's looking at what's happening on the ground in China, it is very concerning. It's nothing short of a humanitarian crisis when we look at these overloaded emergency departments and hospitals and people running out of medical supplies. It's also concerning at baseline to have a lack of transparency and data to truly assess, number one, the COVID burden in China, but also if there are any new potential variants. And Terry, this is not just about China alone. This is the entire world and trying to make sure that we have the right data so we can assess what things really look like moving forward.
Yeah, and at this point in the pandemic, Dr. Patel, what do you think of the tool of travel restrictions, on China, that there needs to be a negative COVID test, I should say, before people can get in? Do you think that that's an effective tool?
You know, at this moment right now, I think what would be more effective is if these travel restrictions force the Chinese government, the Chinese versions of the CDC, to provide more data. You know, right now they're reporting about 5,000 new COVID cases per day, when some experts believe that number is way higher. For a comparison, New York State has 5,000 cases per day. China obviously has a larger population than New York. But with regards to preventing the spread of new variants, that's tough to say because we know that COVID is literally everywhere. We have a lot of other countries and states that aren't actually providing this data. And let's say theoretically, we did have the emergence of a new variant. The question that remains is what behavior would change here domestically? It is reassuring to note, though, that the Italian flight that had a lot of positive cases from China, their health ministry reported that there were no new variants, and all the variants that they got from the Chinese travelers were Omicron subvariants, which we do have protection against.
So I was just going to ask you about those variants, because you do think as they had such a control on COVID that they ended up with a near revolution by their people who wouldn't take it anymore. And now just lifting so many of those restrictions, even though we aren't seeing any variants now, is that the kind of situation where the virus could cook up new variants?
Well, it absolutely is. If you let a virus continue to replicate at an alarming rate, you inevitably could see the emergence of new variants. Now, as of right now, our tools, our vaccines, our treatment, and these basic public health 101 mitigation measures still protect us against the known variants. And Terry, you bring up a good point as well about what the Chinese people, what they were standing up against. A zero COVID policy is not realistic. It's not going to work. What is going to work is people paying attention to their own local situation, their individual risk, the risk of their family members, and taking the best measures to protect everyone in question.
All right, Dr. Alok Patel, as always, thank you and good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and all the holidays to you, sir.
Thanks. We'll see you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.